I was going to show you our third pantry. This is something I don't show everybody. This is pantry number 1. This is the one we keep in our kitchen actively. The most important thing about this pantry is the cans. I built these can holders. I built these 2 can holders, and this little pull-out tray here as well. Sorry, holding a baby, hard to do an angle. But it comes all the way out. Boop. And I just built it out of some pine wood that I found at the local Home Depot. As you can see, it is all a mess. We keep our appliances up there, or did, until we moved them to the dryer and washer area. Basically, these are things we don't use very often. The things we use most often are located here in the front. We have here are mainly this like cream of stuff and sauces. This is just gonna be for sauces and diced tomato, basically tomato-based stuff. Here we have the packets of things, and then we have extras. So these are our breads. We put the new bread in the back and the older breads in the front because we need to eat those first, obviously. Bagels and things like that go right here. The next thing is my 3 can rollers, which is something that I've created. Now these cabinets, I don't know if you can tell from this angle, but they are really, really deep. And the can holders that were available were not deep enough to accommodate my pantry. I went ahead and made these, and these are our vegetables. And I keep everything here that's going to expire soon. So we want to use it up first, and you just push it through and it's fine. And it's supposed to roll smoothly like that. Sometimes it gets stuck. See how it's stuck like that? Anyway, there it goes. The soups. So these do the same thing. Now, when I get too much in there, I have to stack them. We were going through a ton of these chunky soups, and then my son, the 2-year-old, decided to stop eating them. So we've got all sorts of things in here that are kind of like a one-time meal type deal, like Wolf Brand chili and the chunky soup. The next row over is all sorts of fruits, and I buy my stuff from different places. Oop. Obviously pulled out too many. Coconut milk too, but you just push that through as well. And anytime I have a dented can, those always go up here on front regardless of the expiration date, because I'm afraid they may not last as long as the other one. So if the can is dented at all, it doesn't matter what the expiration date is, I put it in here. Some of these I've had for long enough that I don't have the expiration written on these, but some of them do have the expiration date. Obviously, oh, here we go. So this one, for example, is 323, and we didn't have any more of these in there, so I went ahead and pulled it out. But I tried to get the vegetables in here that are going to expire this year so that we can keep a good rotation. And again, I rotate my canned stuff, which is pretty much all of this stuff. And this one also has some things on the back. You can see we got a little sample of the daily bread. These foods last for 25 years. But of course I bought my own freeze dryer, so I don't really need that anymore, but I'm keeping it because it was delicious. This one, lasagna with meat sauce. So then the next thing is these powders, and we've got some salt and extra things like that. Extra salt. This is also where we keep our onion soups for our recipes, and dried powdered milk in case we ever need it. And then on this side, which is very hard for anybody to get to except for me, because I've got the smaller hands, is our syrups, our honeys. I keep canned mushrooms, green chilies, and things like that back there. We used to keep our tuna back there, but it was really small, so we don't keep that back there anymore. Underneath it all is a hanging basket of our tortillas and rolls and English muffins, and under this is all of our stuff that we keep in the fridge. So if we run out of like ketchup, mayonnaise, mustard, things like that, it would go here. And also some spices. I was trying out my can sealer and just went ahead and vacuum sealed some rice. We'll have some spices, and I think I even have some spices. Well, actually we used it all, but when I make my own spices, I put the label on there with the date. Here's our oregano from 2020. And you can see I just keep that in an old jelly jar. I probably need to vacuum seal that too, and I'll be working on all that later. This is where we have replaced our washer and dryer with the all-in-one washer and dryer, which is amazing. I've mainly just used this as a wheat grinder, but it is our food processor and our KitchenAid mixer here on top of our washing machine. This one is the original shelving that we had. It's got our cereal and oatmeal and such. We needed more space, so we went ahead and made these shelves along the top of the pantry. And this one is mainly our boxed foods, and we used to keep rice up there and pasta, cakes and frostings, macaroni, couscous, crackers. This is stuff that we use kind of on a daily basis. So that is the laundry room pantry. This is pantry number 2. You can see here we've got extra milks. These are important because they're shelf stable and you can have them in their original packaging for whenever you need it. They're one serving, so you don't have to open and refrigerate it. They're great for when the power goes out and you lose everything in your fridge. We've got chicken broth for the same reason. Those are great also for camping. You can open up one can and put it inside of your stews in a pot. This is almond milk, the same reason we use the other milk. We use the almond milk. And of course, lots of noodles. Accidentally bought a ton of eggs. We've got a lot of those, not just up here, but everywhere. We go to Costco a lot. We use a lot of tomato paste because we use a lot of tomato dishes. This is our canned corn, but we actually don't keep that in there anymore. This is more of a space holder so that we can store other things there. I haven't quite decided what I want to put there yet, but I just want to keep this as my active pantry, so I'm trying to keep that in mind. These are for the kids. This is new. We just started getting these. They're delicious, actually. They have a bunch of different flavors, and so the kids eat these. They're super easy, quick grab and go, and I'm probably going to have to put some of those in our go bag. They do expire probably like every 6 months or so, so you got to be careful and swap those out regularly. So Lysol, which we ran out of in the last pandemic. Going up here, pastas, noodles, and we've got some other things up there at the top, like some bouillon in case we need it, grits, and some breading type stuff, more pasta, oils. We have canned meats. These areas up here are a little too high for me to reach. They're pretty high up in the closet, so we keep things up there that we don't normally use, like the canned tunas and chicken. These are our bars and our dried fruit and our crackers and things like that for the children. That is our second pantry. This is the coveted third pantry. This is our secret pantry. We keep our bars here for the kids mainly, but I use them too. These are my sweet snacks. I just bought those. I don't usually get sweet stuff like that. These are really great shelf-stable items. They last for a long time. They're not too expensive. They're sold at the regular store. Everybody should have some of these. Potatoes are a great source of a lot of vitamins and nutrients, and they're really good carbohydrates also to keep you going. You just fill it up with boiling water to here, let it sit for about 10 minutes, and they're ready to cook. So definitely recommend everybody having some of those if you like potatoes. Don't get those if you don't like potatoes. Extra Worcestershire sauce, which is great for anything with beef in it. You can make, even if you had to go and get some deer or wild deer, boar or anything like that, that would be great to put in it. Extra salt. You can never have too much salt. These are beans. All those bags up there are beans as well. You can see I've started to label the pantry. All of these are beans, which are very important to have. You need to start out your pantry with beans and rice, and that's it. And as your storage items, 30 days worth of beans and rice before you start stocking up anything else. If you eat beans and rice. If you don't eat beans and rice, don't do that. Here's our canned meats. We got salmon, chicken, and tuna. We've got canned mushrooms because I love mushrooms. We tend to run out because they go bad pretty fast. I bought that before I bought my freeze dryer. Oatmeal is a great staple to have if you love oatmeal in the morning. It's also good survival food, so I do recommend getting survival food. You can tell I've written the dates on all of them in the front. I don't know if you noticed that, but there's a date on every single one of these. These I didn't have a chance to mark yet because I haven't climbed up there and done that. We just got that in the shelf. And this is the rice mashed potatoes. I vacuum sealed these, and that is the date that we actually vacuum sealed them on. And I wanted to put something there on the front so we could see the date. Ramen noodles. These are peanuts and other kind of nuts. There are also more of the potato things in the back. Extra cereal. And then if we go over here, which is my freeze-dried foods, and they are vacuum sealed. You can see they're all perfectly labeled. I don't put a date on these because they last 25 to 30 years anyway. I'm definitely going to eat it before that time goes, so I just go ahead and put them in here. This one, for example, grilled chicken nuggets, beef stroganoff with noodles. And these are all super light because they are freeze-dried, so there's literally no water in them because I freeze-dried them with my freezer. So really you're just having the weight of the jars themselves. So this one is delicious spaghetti. This is enough servings for my son. So you fill up with water, and I did this once with some macaroni, but you fill it up with water about halfway and you let it sit, and you just shake it every couple of minutes, and it's good. You gotta let it sit for about 10 minutes or more. I also have some onions in the bigger container right there on the back. These are fruit. Here they got oxidized. There's some bananas there on the bottom that are delicious as well. I keep these for our baby bite refills, so these are for our kids. I also snack on them too. Our onions in case we ever run out of onions back there. These are our wheat bags. We get the wheat that is the hard white wheat. And we get these smaller bags because I feel like they're better for the environment. I don't really care for plastic, so I try to do what I can. However, these do not store well long term. You can see I've got quite a few of them stacked on top of my paper. We do go through this regularly. This makes such good no-knead bread. Super easy. So like 4 ingredients, you don't have to mix, you don't have to knead it, you just mix it and let it sit. So that's delicious. Do need to get that better sealed if we're going to keep that long term, because bugs can get in here and they can also hatch because there is oxygen in here, because this is just a bag and it's air can go through there. So definitely be careful to seal that properly. The next thing is on this side, we've got our sugars back here, but they're in bags. So we keep those in that bucket there so they can be easier accessible without falling all over everything. These lay pretty flat because they are brown sugar. We probably need to get that in a shoe box to keep it sealed from the elements, but it seems to be doing fine in the plastic bags. Do not rebag those into paper. They will dry up to hard rocks. So the next thing is my tomatoes. I ran out of diced tomato cans whenever the pandemic hit, so I went ahead and got some more of those, and I'll go show you more of that up there later on in the video. This is our Better Than Bouillon, which is delicious. Get some in beef and chicken, keep some on stock. It is the best. Canned creamer, because this kind of replaces, we can't live without coffee, so we have to make sure we have that. It's one of our main staples. Extra refills on spices. There's some more spice stuff back there. We've got more olive oil refills, and of course extra protein. This is great in case there's an emergency and you need to have something quick. You fill up a container with that in the pre-sealed milk containers that I showed you earlier, and you can have an instant protein shake. We are going to go over this section here in 1 minute. Let me go grab my ladder. Now, don't forget your coffee. If you are in an emergency situation, you may not want to get the Keurig kind. We also have some U-Band, which we can take with us so that we can make our own coffee. We've got a coffee press. It's not the best flavor in the world, but it was on sale and we never used it, so we're just saving it for an emergency situation. This is, well, first of all, this is just rice in the vacuum sealed container because we needed to vacuum seal it from the larger container so that it wouldn't get ruined. Do not forget your pets. We keep an extra, right now we have about a 2-month supply of dog food. I'd like to get that up to 6 months, but I need to make sure that the food doesn't expire. So make sure you watch out for your pets. Get plenty of supplies for your pets. 30 days minimum, just like you. You want to be able to feed your pets if something happens. This is my pressure canner. We just got this new file box for storage, so I need to find a better place for the pressure canner. I'm about to show you looks disgusting, but it actually tastes delicious. We've already eaten a can of it just to try it out. Oh, let's see if I can get one out of here. This is canned ground beef. It's already pre-cooked. It's pre-cooked. Looks disgusting when it comes out. We got a grease layer on the top to keep the air from discoloring it or drying out the meat on the top. It was canned and ground. The color was my marker. So this is beef tips, and I pressure canned them. Beef stew meat in broth. So since cooled wrong. So this one I just, after the 90 minutes, I quick released it. And so they said that the liquid would come out of it and the grease and stuff would come, the broth would come out of it. So that's why I put cooled wrong, so we'd eat it first. But nothing happened to it. It's still sealed on the top, hasn't popped open. So we're going to eat that first though. These are all the other props. Where we need to get one more can of sauce because I like to keep this full. We need to get one more can of diced tomatoes, so I like to keep that full. These are the diced tomatoes. When the pandemic hit, we had a shortage of diced tomatoes and I couldn't find any for months, so I went ahead and made some diced tomatoes. And yeah, we started to run out of our own, so that's why I ended up canning some because we had already saved up some, but obviously not enough. That's when I made my list. We keep some extra condiments and spices back here. Extra turkey from Thanksgiving.
Did Mommy give you those markers?
It's actually a futon that we keep our cans under. You can see here I've got different categories. Those are veggies. This is cream of, like cream of chicken, cream of mushroom. These are little chunky soups. And my fruits. And each one of these is in a Costco box. And I have the labels written on top. I've started labeling them with what they are. Like this is coconut, pineapple, and I just started doing that. So these are, I also put the expiration, the date, and the month, and then I try to keep the ones that are going to expire here in the front. These are olives. Some of these are like random things because I don't have room for them anywhere else. So they don't really have a category like olives. The kids like to play with them. Anyway, so the older stuff goes in the back. And then every year in the winter and in the summer, I pull out the stuff that's going to expire soon. Like I pull out everything for 2021 in January, and if it's at the beginning of 2021, like before March of 2021, I pulled it out the heat of the summer last year, like in July. So we're gonna put those back down in there. And my little helper's gonna help get the next one. Here's soups. So these are our chunky soups. This box isn't as big. My son was eating a ton of soups. There's another random soup. Tomato soup. He was eating a bunch of these. I've started storing them upside down. I need to do this, but the other ones I started storing upside down because I can actually write the label. It makes it easier to read than this one. So I did the same thing with this one with 2021 in the summer and in the winter. Ow. This one is cream of. See, these are the ones that I did upside down. We use a lot of these, so I think I actually need to increase this, especially the cream of mushroom soups. But as you can see, everything in here expires in 2022. Thank you. Can we put that back? Let's put that back. My babies like to help. This is why the pantry is such a mess in the first pantry. Let's put this back. And then the veggies. This is probably the one that I use the most. It's also the stronger box, thankfully. And these I put all the vegetables in. So you see I've got like green beans. I need to label some of them. I just started doing that. This is a mix of veggies. We don't eat this one very often, except for the kids, but they don't. We use frozen more often than canned. Carrots and corn.